What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tea Table. I am Josh Hatter. We are going to start looking at some Obsidian Flames deck list here, as it just released in Japan and will be releasing shortly here in the rest of the world. So, we're going to take a look at some decks over this week, some cool ones. Obviously, we're going to get to Charizard at some point because that's the big one from the set. But we're going to start off with a deck that uses Pidgeot EX, we'll get to, but it's definitely a card that has nostalgia if you play for a long time like myself, but also some skepticism because you're like, well, you can't work any of the turn you play Pokemon anymore like you used to be able to the first time this kind of Pidgeot was legal. I do want to thank PokeCop Book for sharing this deck list, which was through TCG_TBG on Twitter, and Justin Basil providing the sick proxies we are using to put the cards in English so we can look at them together. Go there for all your proxy needs. Pretty sweet person and website. So we're going to see an Entei, Pidgeot, Ludicolo, of course. EPL, English Premier League, obviously. If you're a football fan, we're going to get that in there for you. But the last time we saw Ludicolo, it was played with Suicune at Utah Regionals a couple years ago, and it was pretty sweet. So let us jump in, and we'll go over all the cards so you can see why Ludicolo is pretty amazing. So we're going to start off with Entei V here. Once you return this Pokemon's active spot, draw a card, and Burning Rondo 20+20 for every bench Pokemon. Obviously, you could see it's the same as the Raikou and the Suicune, with the same kind of a thing. But the difference is Suicune does get more HP and has the more retreat cost, but that is going to be your main attacker for the deck and what we're going to build everything around. So, we're going to jump into that Ludicolo. So, you got the two Lotad, Coffer family. So, for 2 base, you can put them on your bench. I mean, if you got to use them, like, it's fine. I'll look at it. You know, a great picture, too, obviously. It's a pretty awesome Pokemon in general. The water weed Pokemon, very adorable. Just kind of living life, you know. That's what it looks like in my head most of the time when I'm just kind of going about my things. Like, I'm just here, you know, we're just vibing. But you want to evolve that Lotad into your Ludicolo, the carefree Pokemon. Enthusiastic Dance. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, evolve one of your Pokemon. During your turn, you may use this ability. During this turn, your basic Pokemon's attacks do 100 more to your active. So, obviously, Entei would top out at 220, but now with this ability, it can hit 320. Now, the good thing about this ability is, let's say you start your turn with, like, Pidgeot active or whatever. The ability just kind of is a general thing, not your current active. So later, if you retreat into the Entei, you will be able to attack and still do the 100 more damage, which is pretty sweet. Ability, it's like one of those cards you always look at and you're like, you know, that's pretty sweet. Like, 100 more is a lot, and then HP's got really big for, like, you know, VMAXs and everything. But I think with Pidgeot, which we'll talk about in a second, it's easier to play Ludicolo because you obviously could use Drizzile and Talion in a pass format to search it. So we're going to go to the Pidgeot line. The Japanese list that I did pull for this did have a different Pidgey, but I believe that Pidgey is from 151, which we do not have here for about another month, but we are getting a Pidgey in Obsidian Flame. So we just went with this one for the Gust. But you got 3 of those, but you just want to evolve into your Pidgeot EX. Many moons ago, in Fire Red, Leaf Green, Pidgeot had this ability. Quick Search. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a card and put in your hand. Then shuffle your deck. You cannot use more than 1 Quick Search a turn. And then 120, discard standing and play for 2 colors. Not even bad there. So Quick Search, but back then you can just Pidgey, Rare Candy, Pidgeot on turn 1. So a lot of the thought is maybe it won't be as good because you have to wait a turn, but I think in the few games of playtesting I did, my opponent did go after Pidgey, which kind of just let the rest of my deck function with whatever I was playing. So I think you'll be able to evolve your Pidgeots. Like, you might have to put an Irida or, like, do whatever you got to do in your deck, but Pidgeot, I think, is a card that'll be played. It also has that free retreat cost. So we're going to be quick searching for any card we need in your list. You see the few one-ofs, but, like, you can get your Rare Candy out. Oh, I need the Greninja. Oh, I need the Penny. Wish I had the Sky Seal Stone to knock out. Well, now you do. So the ability to get any card in your deck is pretty sweet. It is weak to lightning, but it is what it is. Kind of a thing. It is definitely worth it, and it has free retreat cost, so it's like a good, if you get knocked out, you could bring it up and then decide what you want to do in your turn if you aren't sure when you begin that turn. But luckily, Pidgeot can just get you anything. So then we got the Radiant Greninja. Obviously, at this point, staple in most things. Can you have more than one Radiant? Discard an energy, draw 2 cards. Don't worry about Moonlight Shuriken. The ability actually does combo with her Stadium. Then we got Manaphy. Obviously, you're going to need Manaphy. Manaphy is good because of the previous card we talked about. Also, like Urshifu and stuff, you're going to want to stop that bench damage. Then we finally got Moltres from Pokemon Go. Zapdos has been played. I've seen Articuno played. And now Moltres said, what's up? I'm also here. Your basic fire Pokemon. Accept any Moltres randomly. Do 10 when your opponent's active, so that lets you hit 230, 330 with your Entei possibly. So take that. Aggron, which is weak to fire, but if it wasn't, we could still knock you out with 330. Yeah. But yeah, also the art is really cool. So it's just there to, I think, extra pump damage. Really, just to hit earlier too. 230s like you can hit on certain basics, or it just acts for 10 because sometimes, you know, math is wacky and you might need it. So we're going to move on to the trainer cards here. We got the now becoming staple Iono. Each player shuffles their hand and puts on the bottom. If either player put any cards on the bottom of their deck this way, each player draws a card for each of their remaining prizes. So obviously the later in the game, you're going to draw less, but luckily you also have Pidgeot in your deck to just search for any card. So you Iono to 2, you're like, you know, I got to hit a fire. Wait, you did. Even if you didn't. Because you have the ability. Just get any card you want. So that is just a random combo there. But also, you got to disrupt all your Lost Box deck and all that stuff anyway. We got the 3 bosses order, obviously. Switch them around. Get those knockouts. Pretty simple there. You got 3 in the deck. We got an Irida. Search for a water Pokemon and an item. Reveal and put in your hand, shuffle your deck. So it gets your Manaphy, Greninja, and any item you have. But more importantly, you can get rare candy, which is very good there. You got the 2 Colress, so it's kind of like you need another draw card, but you don't want to, like, discard your hand necessarily, you know, because you don't want to research, and you don't want to get rid of your hand because you're going to need all those cards, especially with all the stage 2s and stuff in your deck. So you got Colress hopping on over from Lost Zone decks. Look at top 5 cards, put 3 in your hand, 2 in the Lost Zone. Obviously, sometimes you're like, wow, 5 of these cards are busted, and you'll make a tough decision, but that's why that card is good. Then you got the 1 penny, put a base Pokemon, all cards attached in your hand. Your opponent's like, alright, I can 2-shot this Entei and I win the game. Then your Pidgeot's flying above, you know, looking down, Entei's weak. I'm just going to go search for Penny, drop Penny on the field, heal myself because I pick it up, and then knock you out on your opponent. Basically, wasted their turn attacking. Penny can swing games so bad, just like Sharon's Care. Same concept. Getting your opponent out of that KO range they're going to set up for, and probably swing the game in your favor if you can return a knockout anyway. You obviously got the 4 Ultra Ball. Discard those 2 cards, get the Pokemon. 2 Nest Ball. Gotta get those basics as well. We got the VIP passes. Obviously, you want to get there. You only got the 1 here, but that's okay because we're good players. And we're always going to open for the 1 or 2 Battle PvP passes in our hand, and everything will be right with the world. For Rare Candy, obviously, you gotta evolve your Pokemon. You have no stage 1s in your deck, so Rare Candy is even more important. You get to skip the evolution, but your Pokemon has to be in play for a turn, so you can't just Pidgey there or allow Todd into Ludicolo immediately. We got the Bravery Charm. Just when your opponent said, I can hit 230, you said, that's crazy. I'm going to put this around my Entei's paw, I guess. And have 280, and then also Penny. Boom. Can't knock me out ever. You got the Forest Seal Stone. If you notice, we don't have a V-Star ability in our deck. So we have 2 options. We got Forest Seal Stone, put on your V. Just search for any card there. Can help you get a Donk or your turn 2 Rare Candy. It's also like pretty good there. But if you have gone through the game without having to use your Forest Seal Stone, and you're facing a V-Star VMAX deck, we got you Sky Seal Stone. Put it on that Entei. Use ability. If you knock out a V-Star or VMAX, take an extra prize. So, you get the 220, 320 with your Ludicolo. You pop on the Sky Seal Stone that you search for with your Pidgeot. You just took 4 prizes from you. Or, Arceus, you took 3. Like, it lets you just get it out of nowhere, which is why the Ludicolo is even better, because before you're kind of like, alright, 220, like, I can't knock out this Regieleki VMAX or whatever. And you're like, well, actually, I will, and I will take 4 prizes, and I'll win the game. So, obviously, the more EXs we get, Sky Seal Stone has fallen off, because you're like, well, I can't really do good against Gardevoir EX, you know, or stuff like that. You're like, well, that's not what we want to be doing. But Sky Seal Stone and Ludicolo is a pretty lethal combination if you could pull it off. Then we got Magma Basin, which combos with all your discard cards. Once during each player's turn, that player may attach basic energy, basic fire, from their discard pile to one of their bench Pokemon. If they do, it takes 2 damage counters, but that's okay. So now you got your active, you're like, I open whatever. You attach that fire with the ability. I still got to retreat. I still got to switch. That is where your jet energy comes into play when you attach this from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. Switch that Pokemon with your active. So you're like, alright, Magma Basin, onto my Entei, jet energy. Entei comes running in. You get to draw a card with your ability too. Who knows what you do after that, and you're attacking. Then we're going to finish it up with 8 fire energy. Pretty simple there. One of the expeditions for the video because they are pretty sweet. So, that is going to be EPL, which I'm just going to call it now. And it's a pretty cool deck. I'm definitely going to just build it because Ludicolo is a fun card. So is Pidgeot. And I'm fortunate enough to have Crown Zenith and Davies, which look amazing. So, with that being said, let me know what you think of this list. Is Pidgeot going to unlock cool things like this in the meta? That would be pretty sweet if it did. Drop a like, leave a comment, even subscribe if you're feeling so nice today. Let me know what other Obsidian Flame decks you want to see as well. And I'll see you next time on the tea table.